Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
For to you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. Let us never forget. Merry Christmas, everyone. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot. Come on, Patriots, call in with the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. And a good morning. I'm cold, and I bet you are too. 7 degrees outside the Zeb at the Ranch studio. Welcome to Zeb at the Ranch, and of course our major sponsor, of course, the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for whatever the weather throws at you. You stop in and see them today, along with our good friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, Greystone Crossing Senior Living. Really a nice place at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning again, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you much. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And our weather brought to you every hour, or I should say every day at this time, to start the program off. K&R Rental with Roger and the crew at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. All the best tools and equipment you need. Absolutely. And I urge you to give them a call if you're not sure what you need. 678-3122. They've got both long and short-term rental, and they're waiting to serve you. Like I said, they get there early in the morning at K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. That number again, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Much cooler temperatures is what we're expecting for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting patchy freezing fog before noon, sunny skies by this afternoon with a high of 27. Wind chill values as low as -3. Winds out of the east at about 10 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, expecting a low of 11. Wind chill values as low as -2, and winds out of the east as high as 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 22. By tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 31. Still going to be breezy wind gusts as high as 22 miles an hour out of the east. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 18. 20% chance of snow showers for Thursday. Partly sunny skies by the afternoon and a high of 36. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Brr, it's cold out there. K&R Rental brings you the weather to start things off this morning. Don't forget, if you're not sure what you need for equipment, don't hesitate to call. They can help. They will help at K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. Want to remind you, Thursday sale day at the Burley Livestock Commission Company. You better believe it, Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. Merv May, Cade, Rogge, Lance Udy at the sale that works for you. 10 o'clock starting time on Thursday, Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Don't you miss it. Once again, that number, 678-9411. I want to also remind you that maybe you were a little lax in getting things cleaned after Thanksgiving. Well, holy moly, you better run into Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley and take care of your cleaning. And by the way, maybe you're really behind. You've been Christmas shopping and you haven't had time to do your washing. I'm serious. Take your clothes into Daryl's Cleaners. They'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mama used to. At Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Really, really nice people. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Last couple of days we haven't had anybody call in with the Pledge of Allegiance, and it bothers me a little bit because this is a show designed for patriots and patriotism and showing that patriotism. And honestly, folks, there's a lot of things we do on this program that without your help, it's not going to succeed. So please, starting tomorrow morning, I want some patriots start calling back with our Pledge of Allegiance. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. And they open at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And they do literally have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. They have been in business for almost 7 decades. Wow, almost as old as I am. And I guarantee you they can help. They will help with the best of staff to serve you at Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. 678-0459, open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. All right, callers, let's go. Wake up and let's run with it. 53% of Americans. This really, to me, is worrisome. I'll tell you why in a minute. But 53% of Americans do not any longer trust the FBI, and they are declaring that the FBI broke the law investigating Donald Trump. Now, why is it worrisome? Well, because we need to have trust in our higher echelon of investigatory means, and if people are looking down their nose at the FBI or the CIA or any group that is here to defend law and justice and our rights, we got problems. And the FBI, honestly, with James Comey as the former FBI director, they were terrible and sloppy, in his own words, Comey's own words. And to say nothing about the hurting and ruining of lives through poor investigation that I think was manipulated. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Good morning, Zeb. The Democrats know they've got nowhere to go with this impeachment. What they're doing to Donald Trump is the equivalent of mental waterboarding. They're trying to break him down mentally and physically, but by the looks of it, the more you hammer him, the stronger he gets.
Well, and I hope it stays that way. A little bit of feedback there, Wheels. I hope that Donald Trump just bows his neck and says, look out, get out of the way. I'm coming through. I'm going to get reelected. I'm going to serve this country 4 more years at least, excuse me, to the best of my ability. And I hope he just absolutely is like a bull in a china shop and doesn't quit.
I don't think he's the kind of guy that quits. And he's got another buddy over there in England that's the English equivalent of Donald Trump, and that's just Johnson.
I see, and maybe you don't look at it this way, but honestly, I see liberal thinking in politics, running scared with their hair on fire right now because all their liberal/socialist/stupidity is maybe going to fade for a while.
I don't know, Zeb. The more of these people that lean toward liberalism and socialism just don't seem to get the picture that more people that go on socialism, they're going to end up breaking the economy.
Yeah.
And the taxes will go sky high. That's trying to support these people that end up on welfare. we do have major problems, Zeb, and I'm glad you're holding tight on the show you got.
I'm not going to change, Tony. I've got too much invested in this program, and I also have too much invested in standing up for conservative voice. I'm not going to change that at all. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Zeb. Keep on going. We're listening.
All right, guys. I appreciate it, Tony. Thank you very much. I thank you much for your calls. And you and Mary are pretty special. Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Same to you, Zeb.
Thank you. Bye. What nice people they are. I just can't say enough about our dear friends Tony and Mary in Twin Falls. They faithfully listen every day. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, I know somebody else that's really concerned about your transmission on your vehicle, and he wants you, when you put it in drive, to go forward. If he wants you to put it in reverse and go backward, kind of simple. When you put it in park, you hope you do. And that's, of course, Rick over at Mountain Transmissions, 504 East Main in Burley. Hey, I'll tell you what, before you get to tearing down the garage door or something, you better get a hold of him for free estimates and free diagnosis. All you need to do is call Rick at Mountain Transmission, 678-9110, and he wishes you and yours a very Merry Christmas. As do the great friends of ours at Dino Septic Service, and I mean that. These are nice people, and doing a job that you and I do not want to do. I haven't met anybody that wants to stand outside and pump out a septic system. Oh, no. But they do it with a smile on their face. Septic tank pumping, water and sewer lines installed, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned out, liquid waste removal, all of this and so much more. Backhoe service, Dino Septic Service. Expanded to better serve more people in this area. You call them today at 436-6526 or 678-1638. I mean, fast, fair, friendly service with the big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. You get a hold of them now. There's a mess, and it's going to get worse today. Very contentious, as they have another meeting, I think, that started about 19 minutes ago. And the Democrats and the Republicans are going to be at each other's throat over this complete lunacy called the impeachment of Donald Trump. But I was heartened a little bit when I saw, and I hope you saw this too, Adam Schiff went home to California and was at an event the other evening. I believe it was last night. And he walked up on the podium and he was loudly booed. I mean, there wasn't just one or two of them. There was a whole bunch of boo, boo. And then the chant started, liar, 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 which he is. Old Pencil Neck really got an earful yesterday. I think the tide is turning, hopefully. And Adam Schiff is going to be paying for his sins of lying and misleading during the hearings. So they booed him and they called him a liar, and we'll see what happens today. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Where are we going to be on Thursday? Thought you would never ask. We are going to be over at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, for the old-fashioned Christmas. Folks, you've always supported me, and you've always been there when I needed you, and I'm asking you to come out on Thursday and just come on down to Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. We're going to be there for 3 hours, broadcasting live and direct from Denny's, and we're going to have Santa Claus there, and we're going to have the lovely Ashley Ludlow. Can that lady sing? And she's going to sing all 3 hours, Christmas carols, etc. And, of course, delicious food and prizes. It's all going to be there at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, for their great big old-fashioned Christmas at Denny's this Thursday, starting at 8 a.m. Please be there. Also want to take just a moment to talk to you about Dr. Bill and the crew. They are committed over at Ark Animal Hospital to making sure that your animals stay healthy, whether you got an itty-bitty kitty cat or whether you got a whole herd of dairy cattle. I mean, they know what you better do. You better make sure you got a lot of water for everything that's not froze up. And right now is a classic example of making sure they've got plenty of water on a day that right now the temperature is about 7 degrees, and it's going to get below zero tonight. Make sure you've got the water heaters and plenty of water, okay? And don't forget, too, for your dogs and your kitty cats, keep them away from all the Christmas ornaments, the tinsel and everything else. Not good. Not good at all. And if there's a problem, call Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-1177. And they do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. I think everybody's nose is cold this morning. Let's see what else have we got in the news. Oh, this is nuts. And as a matter of fact, I want some parents to give me a call on this right now. Come on, parents, if you're doing any Christmas shopping at all. Now the politically correct police, the PC police, are going after stores in certain areas that are selling Nerf guns. You know, those little guns that shoot out the foam pellets? I mean, they can't hurt anything. Well, these foam pellets, hold on, caller, I'm a-coming. The PC police are saying, oh, no, if you buy those and you're a parent and you give them to your children, why, that's giving them an open invitation to become serial killers. What? The mentality of the left is absolutely running over like a cup of hot coffee, and they're spilling nonsense into every portion of our life. This is insane. And I'm 72 years old, and I'm thinking, because the PC police are after these Nerf guns, I'm thinking about going buying myself one for Christmas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. At the Burley Senior Center today, we're having prime rib.
Ooh.
That's unbelievable, but that's what's coming on the menu. So if you need one to go, come on in, pay your money and get a ticket, and they'll serve you a prime rib to go.
Oh, my goodness. Joe, are you like me? When I eat prime rib, I smother it in horseradish.
Yes, sir.
All right. What's for dessert over there?
Well, it'll be yummy.
Okay. That's a cop-out, Joe.
I don't know. Sometimes they keep that a secret from me.
Okay. Well, Joe, God bless you. We'll send everybody over to the Senior Center for prime rib. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Merry Christmas, Joe. Thank you. There is nothing in my evaluation that is better than to get a good piece of prime rib and just smother it with that horseradish. The horseradish that makes your nostrils flare, makes your ears turn red, makes your eyes bug out, makes your hair stand up, and you go, oh, this is great. It is. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I love prime rib. Hey, Merry Christmas wishes from Senator Kelly Anthon. I haven't talked to him for a long time. He hasn't talked to me for a long time. What's the matter with you, Kelly? Come on, District 27 Senator that does an outstanding job. And he and his family want to wish you and your family the merriest of Christmases and a very happy New Year. Thank you, Senator Kelly Anthon. And also, that can be said of our dear, dear friend, Representative Fred Wood from District 27, Seat B. I'll tell you what, every time I call him, he is so loaded up with information on all the topics. He treats all of his constituents that way, helping everybody. Representative Fred Wood wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Along with the Representative and Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke from District 27, Seat A. He's the John Wayne of our legislator. He really is a cowboy, and he really understands agriculture and all the items that affect the great state of Idaho, and we're glad to have him. Representative Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke from District 27, Seat A, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, these Nerf guns, there was one that they showed on TV the other day that shot out those little foam pellets. It was like, I don't know, it shot 25 or so. I'm going to go buy one just for the sake of, well, two reasons. Number one, I don't like the PC police telling everybody what they can and can't have. And number two, even at my age, they look like a heck of a lot of fun, so I'm thinking about buying one. Did you know, and we're going to be talking about this later on this morning with Dr. Michael Busler back in New Jersey, and I was not aware till this morning, but the stock market, listen to this, this is absolutely amazing. The stock market, since Donald Trump became president 3 years ago, has gone up over 10,000 points. Think about that. Donald Trump as president, and the stock market has gone up over 10,000 points. And this morning, they're anticipating another record high. And the Democrats are sitting over in the corner kind of going, oh, mumble, 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 gripe, 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 moan, moan, moan. They can't figure out how they can attack this economy. And quite frankly, they can't figure out with the really lack of talent they have, how they're going to beat Trump or anything. But they're sitting over there in the corner, and now they've come up with, and you've already heard this, they've come up with the idea that, well, we're willing and ready to sacrifice the economy and go into a recession as long as we can get rid of Donald Trump. Well, in other words, what they're saying is they don't care about you, Mr. and Mrs. America, or your 401ks or your savings accounts or anything. They're just all in it for themselves. As long as we have power, we don't care about anything else. That's what they're saying. And they're almost hoping and wishing that the economy starts to slide and go into recessionary principles, which is stupid. And that's fitting for the Democrats. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you a story in a minute that when I heard about it this morning, honest to goodness, I was just putting my shirt on and I almost lost a couple of the buttons. I was so upset. I'll tell you in just a minute. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. Now, these folks handle the equipment you need for all the lifting and the digging and the pushing and the carrying and the grading and the leveling. And oh, my goodness sakes, yes. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and the excavators, and they got all the Bobcats, and they've got them all in shapes and sizes to do all the heavy work to the little bitty stuff. I mean, they've got it all at Barry Equipment and Rental. They've got excellent rental programs and super purchase programs and finance programs. All you need to do is stop in or give a call to Barry Equipment and Rental, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location for Barry Equipment and Rental. You know, I really, really would appreciate some calls and get on the landline and give us a jingle. Here is a story that is indicative of the evil that is out there against Christmas. Back in Edmond, Oklahoma, the third graders at the Edmond Elementary School started a live nativity scene in the evening or late afternoon and evening hours. They were so proud of what they had done. I mean, they had the manger and they had the animals and everything, and oh, it was really, really nice. A live nativity scene. But here comes down the trail the sleazy, worthless, evil, freedom from religion folks. Bunch of punks. I can't think of a better word to say. They're a bunch of punks. And they slammed their fists down and demanded that the school stop that. Take that down. You can't have that nativity scene. Well, yes, they can, by the way. But here's where the cowardly school leaders just fell flat on their face. They stopped it. They stopped the nativity scene. Breaking the hearts and breaking the spirit of what the real meaning of Christmas is. They stopped it. The school board ran with their tail between their legs. Oh, don't sue us. Don't yell at us. Oh, bunch of weak-kneed, milquetoast cowards, of which there's a lot of today. And it kind of makes you wonder, is anybody, any group, going to stand up anymore and punch the bully in the face? Now, here were those kids, and they'd put a lot of time and effort into getting the animals and creating the scenery of the nativity scene and getting their costumes, and all for naught. All because these punks, these worthless punks with the freedom against religion, folks. Deanne, what do you want me to do? Yeah, please. Thank you. I'm on the air. My wife's handing me notes waiting for me to respond. It doesn't work good that way. Thank you. But she is the boss. These freedom from religion people, absolutely worthless. What are your thoughts about people kowtowing to groups like this and say, oh, well, we had a nativity scene up. We're so sorry. Please don't sue us. I think they should have expanded it. They should have made it larger. Well, caller, good morning. How are you?
Well, good morning, Mr. Bell.
Well, it's about time you called, lady, because I was wondering what was the matter with you.
Well, George don't let me out very often anymore. He says I'm too politically correct.
Now, let me tell you something. Wait a minute. You're political correct? Yeah, and I can walk without crutches, too.
Yeah, he tries to be a comedian sometimes.
Okay.
Well, my opinion of these low-life people who want to take the joy and the happiness out of everybody, not just the children, but my heart breaks for these little kids that are trying to remember what Christmas is all about.
Yeah. Well, you kind of went through that, Donna. You went through it, pardon my interruption, but you and the city of Rupert went through this a couple of years ago because somebody was all upset and mad because there were nativity scenes and depictions of Jesus on some of the storefronts.
Yeah. And you saw how far that went.
Yeah.
There's an old theory, and you kind of hit the nail right on the head. If you stand up to a bully one time, he won't bully you anymore.
Yeah, that's right. These people thrive, these freedom from religion nuts, and that's what they are. They're punks. They're worthless people. They can have their own beliefs. If they don't believe that there is God or Jesus or heaven, they can sit there and they can steam and fume in the basement of some potato cellar and just absolutely believe what they want to believe. But don't you step on our toes.
No, that's totally wrong. Why squash the creativity and the love of these children?
Yeah.
I don't understand how anybody could do that.
There was, the story is quite intensive about one little third grader that just stood there and started to cry. Because they put so much time and effort into the celebration and the real meaning of Christmas. And for these worthless, and again I say this and I'm not ever going to back up on my verbiage on these people, worthless punks that are trying to rule the world and get rid of anything that has any religious connotation, I meant it when I said they should have stood up with adult leadership and said, take a long walk.
Yeah, off a short pier.
You got it.
I don't know where the principals and the school teachers, and, I don't know where they stood on this, but to back up, it's just like there was just real quick, I know you got another caller. There was a commercial on Hallmark the other night.
Yep.
We were watching one of the Christmas shows, and it was like, I almost threw up.
Oh, my goodness.
I thought, what in the world are they thinking? Hallmark. Well, then anyway, they decided to ban all those. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Marriage.
I do.
I'm not afraid to say it out loud. I think it's disgusting.
Well, we need to say it out loud. You have not lost your right of free speech, nor have I. And I'm not going to cave in to being swayed into their fold and accept their principles. And by God, lady, I appreciate you standing up.
Well, thank you. But now they've been bullied or chastised or whatever. Now they've reinstated those stupid commercials.
Yeah.
What in the world? I mean, why kowtow to a few to displease and I won't watch Hallmark.
Yeah, I'll tell you something.
Christmas specials.
What's going on, Donna, is the ruination of any family or moral values in this country, and I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yep. Well, leave it to me to, stir the pot.
Don't you ever put the spoon down.
Oh, trust me, I'm too old to start over.
God bless you. I got to run. Thanks.
Hey, Merry Christmas,
all right.
My friend.
Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. I promise I'll be right there, caller. You've waited a long time. I appreciate your patience. You're more diligent than I am. Quality's Electronics having a big Christmas sale, and they're located at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin. I had a caller yesterday after the program saying, where are they? Well, they're on Kimberly Road, easy to find, and they're having sale prices on there. Great. I mean, they do have a fantastic selection of TVs, sound bars, and audio equipment. And I'm telling you, if you mention my name, you get an extra 10% off TV bases and wall mounts. And they've got all the wireless and Bluetooth speakers on sale. Holy moly! Hometown service and support. These are good folks. Quality's Electronics at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. You stop in and see them today. Merry Christmas. And right now, good morning, caller. You are patient. Thank you.
Good morning, Zeb. Well, this cultural attack on America has been going on for a long time, but particularly during our lifetime when the Supreme Court took, in 62 and 63, took prayer and Bible reading out of public school, and we've been on a moral abyss ever since, just sliding down. And, so it's so sad, but this is part of the communist agenda. If you look at the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, that you will see one of the things is to basically destroy the family unit and destroy what they call the opiate religion. They call it an opiate, that they have to destroy religion, meaning the Christian religion, because you have the 10 Commandments, and now we see what's happening with the crime across America, with California. It's not a crime unless you steal over $950 worth of stuff. It's unbelievable that we've reached this point. Part of the 10 Commandments says, thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not steal. But those two things don't seem to have any meaning anymore because of what the values that are out there. But this group that you're talking about, Freedom from Religion, is just an atheist group. And it's just sad. I'm a scientist, and everybody says, oh, you scientists are all for evolution. And I said, absolutely not. You look at the human body, just look at the human eye, and if one component of that human eye is not there, you're not going to be able to see anything. Then you have to have a brain to be able to interpolate what you already have seen. It's just incredible.
Well, let me jump in here, Adrian, and I got to have a little time here, and I got to run. I got another call, but I want to say something to you. When it comes to the evolutionists and all this garbage, and I think it is garbage, and I'm going to state my opinion in my case, saying that we all evolved from a rock. No. God's hand is in everything, every day of my life, and I will not have anybody diminish that. Hey, Merry Christmas to you. God bless you. I got to get another call.
Just one thing.
Hurry.
One substance, the most abundant substance in our bodies, on the planet, in the solar system, in the universe, it's water.
Yep.
Did you realize scientists can't make water? Water alone, H2O,
Yep.
2 hydrogens, it's very flammable, oxygen and oxidizer. Somehow, God's put those 3 things together, and we get water.
Yep.
I mean, the miracle of water itself proves that there's God.
Absolutely. Good way to end it. Adrian, God bless you. And like I say every day, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Well, keep up the fight.
All right, I will.
Keep doing it for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Jerry.
I want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Well, I opened up an envelope yesterday that had your name on it, and you said the same thing, and I appreciate that. God bless you and Rose.
Well, thank you for that. And, you know, it just upsets me to no end what these Democrats will go through to damage the best president this country has had in my lifetime.
Yes.
And I will say a long time before.
Yes.
We can put up with a horrible guy, like the last guy that was in there, that done absolutely nothing to help anybody in this country anywhere, and not complain a thing. But when somebody's in there doing a good job, trying to make America great, which it don't have to be made great, because it already is great, he's just making it better.
Absolutely.
It just turns my stomach how sick and retarded these perverted people can be.
Well, they prove it every day. I mean, there's no end to their maliciousness and their thoughtlessness. I totally agree with you.
To try and destroy our economy, try and destroy people's lives. And, you know, and hitting on Christmas, just another thing.
Yeah.
Anything they can do to destroy, to kill, to, wipe out, they're going to try and do it.
I agree. We got to stand up. You got to stand up and fight back. Everybody, all of us have to stand up and fight back. And that's why if I lived in Edmond, Oklahoma, I would be constructing another nativity scene that was even larger and bigger and better. I guarantee you I would not weaken.
Probably make it the whole community.
There you go. Hey, God bless you.
Okay, I'll get off here, but I want to say one thing before I go, and you know what I'm going to say. May the Lord bless you and all them young children out there listening, and that even includes the young children 90 and 100 years old.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Everybody to be blessed by our Lord.
Thank you, Jerry. Merry Christmas to you.
And Merry Christmas to you, and you guys keep it going.
All right. Thank you very, very much. Nice man, and I absolutely treasure his friendship. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Hey, by the way, I want to tell you about a great place to go shopping for Christmas, and I've kind of dropped some subtle hints to Deanne. Make it a Sportsman's Warehouse Christmas. Listen to this. They got 25% off select Under Armour Rival Fleece and Armor Fleece for the whole family. I love that. I really do. And don't forget they got the Vortex Crossfire HD binoculars, now just $149.99. Oh ho ho! And let me give you another one. How about the Striker Ice Second Skin Ice Fishing Gloves? They were $34.99. Now they're only $21.97. Better get there. Keep your fingers warm. All of this at Sportsman's Warehouse. They are waiting to serve you for a Sportsman's Christmas at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Stop in and see Reese and the crew today at Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin. It is time for the weather forecast, and I can tell you what it is going to be in one 4-letter word. Cold. Really cold out there. By the way, if you're hearing jingle bells, is it really the bells or is it tinnitus? Ringing in your ears is a concern for many people. And some folks say, just go live with it. No, you don't have to. And you can find out why. They can help you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Yes, they can diagnose and treat tinnitus. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call, 312-0957. Right now, it's time for Gina and the weather.
Much cooler temperatures is what we're expecting for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting patchy freezing fog before noon, sunny skies by this afternoon with a high of 27. Wind chill values as low as -3. Winds out of the east at about 10 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, expecting a low of 11. Wind chill values as low as -2, and winds out of the east as high as 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 22. By tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 31. Still going to be breezy wind gusts as high as 22 miles an hour out of the east. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 18. 20% chance of snow showers for Thursday. Partly sunny skies by the afternoon and a high of 36. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth.
No, thank you, Gina, and brought to you and everyone by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And believe me, they're your hometown, locally owned and operated hearing clinic, helping you, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Call them at 312-0957. Call me right now, too, at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This next story is so repulsive to me, it makes my skin crawl. And when I heard this, we have to use the word allegedly. That's a word we have to use, because it is alleged that Michael Bloomberg, the multi-billionaire that's running now on the Democratic ticket to get the nod to be the president. Listen to this story. And again, the New York Times is the entity that broke this story. And again, we use the word alleged. A lawsuit filed in 1997 accused potential presidential candidate Michael Bloomberg of telling an employee that was pregnant to kill her unborn baby. When I read this, my first impulse was to wish and hope I could be in the same room with Bloomberg and just pop him right in the end of his nose. Allegedly! The lawsuit filed by former Bloomberg LP employee, her name is Sakiko Sakai Garrison, and she alleged that Bloomberg referred to Garrison's baby and told her to kill it. Garrison's lawsuit also alleged that Bloomberg grumbled, "Oh, great, number 16," which the complaint said referred to the 16 pregnant women in his company in 2001. Oh, great, number 16, just go kill it. Now, Bloomberg has denied that he said this. Oh, really? Yeah, suppose. Imagine that. Bloomberg has denied that he said this, but here's what's interesting. The lawsuit was settled without Bloomberg admitting any guilt, and Bloomberg paid a huge, undisclosed amount of money. Really? The lady's lawyer said and told the New York Times that, quote, "we settled to avoid the distraction and expense of litigation." I'll be darned. So here's a guy with all the ways and means monetarily to do or have whatever he wants or get a net result the way he wants it. And allegedly, this person, this sleaze, Michael Bloomberg, and I'm saying that he allegedly said to the pregnant mom, "Oh, just go kill it." And this kind of sleaze is running for the presidency of the United States of America. You can bet that when there's a settlement like this out of court, that the validity of this story probably has grown in value. And even though it's alleged, I take the side of the lady. Because Bloomberg, I think, is nothing more than a very wealthy, power-hungry individual. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I would love to visit with you. And let's see, we talked about Nerf guns. We've talked about a lot of things this morning. Did you hear? This one really is comical almost. Chuck Schumer, Democrat Senator, Chuck Schumer on the news, trying to make the rules, honestly, you can't make this kind of a comedy up, trying to make the rules for the Republicans when it goes, the supposed impeachment case of Donald Trump goes to the Senate for a trial. Schumer's sitting out there saying, well, we want this, and we want these people, and we demand that we get these witnesses, and we demand that the trial is run in this way and that way. Wait a minute. Chucky, you Democrats railroaded the entirety of the hearings on impeachment with lies, innuendos, and, of course, old bug eyes, Adam Schiff. And it was completely partial. It was completely partisan for you. The vote was always in the room, 23-17, 23 Democrats, 17 Republicans, and there was no equity. There was no fairness. And now you stand there with your receding hairline and you try to tell the world on television that, well, if this case goes to the Senate for trial, we demand that we have these witnesses, and we demand that it not be as partisan and oh, Chucky, please. It almost sounds like Chuck E. Cheese. Chucky, please. Crawl back under the rock from whence you came. My, there's a never-ending flow of this recycled alfalfa. Oh, dear. Hey, I want to give a great big shout-out to our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Yesterday I had Trent on, and all this week the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers are going around to different food banks all over the valley, and they're spreading Christmas cheer, providing hams, and more hams, and we really appreciate the effort that they do. Thank you, and God bless all the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, they've got all the tires for you to get through any kind of weather, the snow, the ice, the muck, the yuck, you name it. It's going to be on the roadway. They've got the tires and all the different tread designs. So all you need to do is just stop in and see them. Say, help, put them on my car, my pickup, whatever. And don't forget, they got all the tire chains, and they've got the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. How many of you went out this morning and turned the key in old four-wheeled Faithful, and it went click, 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 click? Well, that's why you better get your battery checked. And if you need a new one, they've got them all at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent, you bet, on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best. Next hour, we're going to be talking energy again with Dan Kish back at the American Energy Alliance. Nobody does as good a job as he does when it comes to energy. We really appreciate him. And then we managed to get at 9:30 this next hour, Phil Kerpen coming back on the air. Phil and I used to visit quite a bit in years gone by on this program, and he's going to be talking about the AARP and insurance. And you might be a little bit more than amazed as to how they've kind of commingled, and maybe not for the better of retired people. And then at 10:06, don't forget, we've got Dr. History coming on the program, live and direct from right here in the studio. And then one of my favorites at 10:32 this morning, Dr. Michael Bustler from New Jersey, and he's going to be talking about this economy, and I guarantee you he's leading the cheering for President Trump. Once again, a quick reminder before we send it to the news, we're going to be over at Denny's for the old-fashioned Christmas celebration this Thursday, day after tomorrow, from 8 to 11 while I broadcast live and direct. Santa Claus is going to be there. Hello, Santa Claus. And, of course, Ashley Ludlow, and we're going to have prizes, great food. Don't miss it at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, and they're located at 611 North Overland in Burley. Really good folks. Thomas and the crew, we look forward to this every year. Right now, and we're going to give a ham away later on this morning, too, on the program, so stay tuned for that. And right now, we're going to send it over to Wheels for the news from CBS CN7. Oh, good morning, Merry Christmas, blue sky, but it is doggone chilly out there, 7 degrees. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with the best of tires for whatever the winter weather throws at you, okay? And don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, Wheels has got this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Don't forget, if you're cleaning out everything before all the relatives, you got 73 relatives coming to stay with you during Christmas time, and you better clean out the basement, you better clean out the garage, you might have them stacked up in the attic or whatever. Maybe you need a dumpster. Well, if you need a dumpster, they've got them in various sizes, and Western Waste Services can drop one off, and you fill it up, they'll come and get it. They are always at your disposal. Call them today at 734-6969. Western Waste Services, absolutely the best. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Quality's TV. Hello, Bruce and the whole crew. Oh, Daddy Mel's over there. I mean the whole group. Group. Thank you with a G. Quality's Electronics Christmas sale going on right now. Sale prices on all their great selections of TVs. You walk in the door of Quality's Electronics and just look and look and look at the rows and rows and rows of televisions. Sound bars, audio equipment, wireless and Bluetooth speakers are all on sale. Wow! You better do some Christmas shopping today at Quality's Electronics Christmas sale. Hometown service and support at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Really, really nice people. Also want to remind everybody, too, that yours truly has been going into Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation for quite some time. And they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Thank goodness we had them as people we could rely on after my knee surgery and my hip surgery. Oh, my goodness sakes, they helped me a bunch. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists over there help you with your aching and paining and your recuperating. And all you need to do is make a call, make an appointment at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. The best Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. There's a gentleman that's been on our program a lot, and I can't thank him enough for all of his diligence. He's just an all-around good guy with the American Energy Alliance. Good morning, Dan Keish. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm well and hope you are.
I am. But every day that goes by, I just can't understand the insanity that's being displayed by the Democrats in pushing and yelling and screaming for us to go back into regressive times and do away with fossil fuels, do away with coal, do away with natural gas, which leads me up to this story about Michael Bloomberg. Now, more than coal, he's going after natural gas. What's going on here?
Well, this week he said that natural gas is worse than coal. He spent hundreds of millions of dollars shutting down coal plants, paying the Sierra Club to do his bidding, and it was a Sierra Club. He gave them huge amounts of money to fight every permit for a coal plant, to try to just gum up the works. You know how they are. And so coal has been reduced in use in the U.S. Quite a bit, and natural gas has taken its place. About two-thirds of the slack has been taken up by natural gas. The rest has been renewables that are all subsidized. And so now he says, because he's running for president, and he's appealing to that hard left, natural gas is worse than coal. Well, natural gas puts out about half the amount of carbon dioxide, if that's what he's concerned about. In reality, you know, Zeb, it all goes back to something we've talked about a lot of times. This is never about energy. It's about power. And there are some people who want to control other people. They want to get their leg up on your back, and they'll do it. And there's no better way to do it than energy, because energy makes the world go around. If you can make it cheap and abundant, then people can do what they want. And if they want to control the way you live and get around and the kind of job you can have, the best way to do it is to go after energy, and that's exactly what they're doing. They just won't admit it.
I am absolutely stumped. I'm an old man, I know that, but I'm stumped as to how and why the American public hasn't thrown their hands up in the air and said, wait a minute, what about construction in this country? What about agriculture in this country? What about recreation in this country? Everything going to a screeching halt, all those people out of work that are involved in those industries. Nobody can rely on a real competent food transportation source. Nobody can rely on having enough gas to go to the doctor's office in an emergency. Why aren't we just absolutely telling Bloomberg and others, hey, take a short walk off a short, or a long walk off a short pier and leave us alone?
Well, you know, Zeb, I actually think people are going to do that. They don't go for this stuff. I mean, even France. Remember this summer they had all those people in those yellow vests tearing up Paris and everything else because they were going to propose a gas tax increase for their carbon dioxide emissions for their global warming.
Oh, brother.
And the folks out in the real world outside of Paris all came to Paris and caused all kinds of commotion. They're still at it. Now there's other issues involved, but basically people don't, they'll sort of listen to this in the background, but when the rubber hits the road, when it shows up at the pump, when all of a sudden you can't get where you want to go, or people's lives are made uncomfortable unnecessarily, they push back. So these things all sound good to a bunch of college students, you know, gog-eyed and look at, but at the end of the day, for somebody who thinks about the energy that they use, and we all should because, you know, it isn't free, so we try to save whenever we can. But the idea that they're just going to make it more expensive so they can have some money to throw around at whatever cronies they've got out there is, I think, ludicrous to most Americans.
You know, Dan, let me ask you this. In your working with the American Energy Alliance and everything that you've done, is there a case study that has been put together that would show the forced transition of the American public to give up everything they have for energy, their car, and buy a new one that's supposedly an electrical car, change over the heating of their home and everything. Has anybody done a study as to what the forced transition to the greenies would cost the American public?
Well, there was a back of the envelope study by a former head of the Congressional Budget Office, and they totaled up the Green New Deal, the cost of the Green New Deal that a lot of them are talking about as being $93 trillion over 10 years.
Wow.
To put that in perspective, that is half of the gross domestic product of the United States for each of those years. That is half of the output of the United States. That's how much we're talking about here. Not to mention the fact that, Zeb, to be honest with you, it can't be done. I mean, because ultimately it won't be done because people will start to die. If you can't move agricultural commodities to the cities where all these people sit around thinking they're smarter than folks out in the country who grow this stuff, if they don't have the food, they're going to die. If they don't have the energy to stay warm or to, light the streets and do all the other stuff, they're going to die. You're talking about chaos here. We're talking about fundamentally transforming our nation in ways that have never happened before. It would be like on a war footing. And, that's the reality of the situation. That's how important energy is. We rely on it for everything.
Well, yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking about maybe the mom and dad that have raised their kids and they're living out on the family farm, maybe about 35 miles away from the nearest hospital, and they need to run one or the other to the hospital in an emergency, and they didn't have enough fuel to put in the pickup or the car to get there. I'm thinking about the little lady that lives down the street that has to walk with a walker to go get her groceries because she can't drive her car anymore. I'm looking at the extreme costs of somebody trying to run the household on energy that's not reliable, and the costs have gone up 10 times. This is absolutely asinine and dumb.
Yeah, well, it's also cruel. It's cruel. We have, this is the season of blessings. Thanksgiving, Christmas. We're blessed, and we should be appreciating those blessings. And yet, after decades and decades and decades of running around the world with a tin cup asking, the Arabs or the Venezuelans or somebody to give us some oil, because we were told by the politicians, these same politicians, by the way, Zeb, the same ones, told us we didn't have enough. Yeah. We were running out. We couldn't drill our way out. We prove them wrong, the American public does, and we end up with the largest supplies of largest production of oil and gas in the world. We've got the largest coal supplies by far. You add Canada and Mexico, we're we're over the top, and we finally get to a position where we've solved the problem, and they want to create another problem. It's just like it doesn't matter as long as they're goofing things up, as long as they're screwing up the works, as long as they're sticking their stick into the spokes. That's what makes them happy, and it has nothing to do with energy. It has everything to do with power over other people, power over the way they live, power over the way you make your decisions, power over the kind of a country we be, and they basically want us to be all slaves without any energy.
And one thing else that really infuriates me is I'm a 72-year-old man, and I'm proud of what I've achieved, I'm proud of what I've done, and I'm proud of my family. And I'm not proud of some 16-year-old girl that doesn't know Khmer from Sikkim being named Time Person of the Year to stand up there with the backdrop of the ocean behind her, looking into the horizons and condemning me for my carbon footprint. That doesn't set well with me.
Yeah, for some reason that grates on a lot of people, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, there was a great editorial in the conservative paper in Washington yesterday, the Washington Times, that addressed this very thing. It said, everybody loves children, and we send them to school to educate, but we don't send them there to teach because they have to learn. And all of a sudden, the world's turned upside down. They don't, listening to elders, listening to wisdom accumulated through years and years and decades of experience means nothing. And instead, we're going to go along with some little girl who's scared by some stories that some of her teachers have told her. And it's absurd. It's just Hollywood on steroids, writ large. And it's an embarrassment that Time Magazine has done this. But, hey, Time Magazine put Stalin on the cover twice and Hitler on the cover once as being Man of the Year, so I guess Greta gets her turn.
You know what I think? And I'm going to make a prediction here, and please don't laugh at my prediction. Well, you can if you want to. But I'm going to make a prediction that within the next 7 to 8 months, there will be a screenplay written about Greta Thunberg from Sweden. And I'll tell you who's going to finance it and who's going to help promote the movie. It's going to be promoted by the likes of Matt Damon and others in Hollywood that are avowed eco-freaks, and they're going to back this movie, and they're going to push for Greta Thunberg to be a motion picture hero.
Zeb, it's already being done. There was a story on the Drudge Report yesterday that they are already doing a movie, screenplay.
Oh, no.
And it will be running on, Netflix or Hulu or one of these things. So she's already getting checks. Her parents are already getting checks.
This is so disgusting to me to think that the world is right now in a real fragile battle, if you will, of keeping energy efficient and being energy reliant upon what we have with the gifts that God gave us, or regressing to living underneath a windmill, hoping the wind blows and that we get a little energy to cook our breakfast.
Such as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a call calling in with a question for you, Dan. Before I run out of time, I could go on and on, but I better not. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. This little girl, they put her picture in all them papers and magazines. She's killed over 50,000 trees with just her picture alone, so she isn't a very good environmentalist. She's done a terrible job.
Well stated, my friend. Well stated. Thank you for your call. Dan, respond to the caller, please.
Well, he's absolutely right. I mean, come on. We know what this is. At some point, you finally wake up and you say, wait a minute, a lot of this stuff is just made up. I mean, how do they make her into some person of the year? Meanwhile, several months back, we had this 12 or 13-year-old boy down in Mexico who went after the cartels attacked his family and went off to find help for his siblings across the desert and everything else. Now, he's a hero.
Yep.
He ought to have a movie about him. That's a terrible, awful story, but it's about somebody who's actually accomplished something. She hasn't accomplished anything except getting her picture in the paper. We used to have heroes. Now we have celebrities.
There you go. That was very well stated. Let me ask you this, and you know that I have a newfound kind of a hatred, if you will, with cowardice as to what's going on in our society. And when I say the word cowardice, I have to talk about Idaho Power, which has been cowardice and not answering any questions or coming on my program. But who do you think is twisting the arms of companies like Idaho Power to basically go green and not tell anybody why?
Well, they see it as an opportunity to jack up the price of electricity. That's what's going on. They see it as a way. They see green cover by going green, and all that. They see it as an excuse for them to get the Public Utilities Commissions to give them rate increases to pay for all the fancy new stuff that they can then write off on people's bills. That's what it is. It's pretty simple. I mean, if if some business sees an opportunity presented by the politics of the day to take advantage of its customers, even though it is a regulated monopoly, and the politicians are looking the other way, or they're saying, gee, it's great you're putting up windmills, I guess I can't blame them. I don't necessarily, my old Boy Scout creed kind of keeps me from jumping in that direction, but I also understand the economic side of things.
Yeah.
If they get a chance to jack up rates on folks in Idaho because the politicians aren't paying attention, or they're too fixated on Greta Thunberg and what she has to say about the events of the day, then that's what you get. It's up to the politicians to keep these big utility monopolies in check, because if they don't, they'll run right over you.
Talking about big money and Bloomberg, of course, a multi-billionaire, and then you talk about another guy that wants to be involved in the debates on the Democratic ticket and hasn't really gained his worth, if he has any, and that's Tom Steyer. We've got two multi-billionaires that are running on the Democratic ticket, and yet on the flip side of that story, you've got the eco people that are so bent on environmentalism that they're against big money, they're against billionaires, but yet they're supporting these people. It's really an ambiguous situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, as long as their politics are okay, they don't care how you made your money, because Tom Steyer made his with coal.
That's right.
Feeding Chinese furnaces with coal in Asia. That's how he became a billionaire, funding the construction or the reconstruction of coal mines to feed China's furnaces. They now consume over half the world's coal, and he runs around the world talking about how he wants to save the world from global warming and hypocrisy on steroids. Hypocrisy on steroids. And Bloomberg, when he was mayor of New York, used to fly to Bermuda every weekend on his private plane and then complain about global warming.
That's true. Listen, we're going to be celebrating Christmas next week with Christmas Eve next Tuesday, which means I won't be on the air, which means I won't have you on my program. And so right now is a perfect time for me to wish you and your family and everybody back there a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And hopefully we'll be able to set you up again right after the first of the year, because I value your friendship and your information on my program.
Zeb, Merry Christmas. God bless to you and yours and all your listeners. I hope everyone has a blessed Christmas and holiday season.
All right. Dan Kish, one of the very, very best. I appreciate you, man. Take care of yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.
All right. And American Energy Alliance, Dan Kish, and he knows what he's talking about. Very, very well versed in energy, or the lack of, and he does a great job. Thank you very much. Okay, let's pay some bills. I want to remind you about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary right now, with, of course, Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you and your family. They always, when there's the passing of a loved one, want to support the families and provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to write this number down and remember to call them. Let them help you. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number 436-5636. I'll say it again, 436-5636. And on behalf of Hanson Mortuary, they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. And also a reminder, Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Want to remind you, too, about our dear friends at Sportsman's Warehouse. Oh, boy, when I go into Sportsman's Warehouse, I can get lost. I can get lost and just look at all the great items. We'll make it a Sportsman's Christmas. All you need to do is stop in and see Reese and the crew there at Sportsman's Warehouse today and do your Christmas shopping. I mean, listen to this. They've got 20% off the Danner boots. They have got Northside Bozeman boots that were regularly $79.99, now $59.99. Oh, my. They've got a Kelty Grey Rock Technical Day Pack that was $109.99, now just $69.99. Oh, my. All of this and so much more at Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. You stop in and see Reese and the gang today. These are really, really good people. As are the folks over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Hello, Todd. How you doing over there, group? I mean, they've got all the life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits that are going to help you and protect you, your family, and your business. They are dedicated and very responsive to your needs, and all you've got to do is just call the number. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas.
Sir?
Yes.
I was just going to ask, do we have a backup for Mr. Kirpin?
We do. And in addition, it was just given to us not too many minutes ago, 202, write this down fast, 202, 285, 9714. Okay? All right, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Well, sometimes we need backup numbers to find the person that's supposed to be on the air. Let's not forget our friends at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. My goodness sakes, they have been praying for snow. They got it. I mean, a lot of it, too. And don't forget they've got all the snowmobiles, all the snow bikes, and all the accessories. And, boy, can you take care of a lot of great Christmas shopping right over there at Let's Ride. Now, the hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. I urge you to stop over and just walk in the showroom and go, holy cow, how did they get all this in here? Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it is the truth. That is where the fun is sold at Let's Ride. Let's check over with Wheels and see if we've got Phil Kirpin on the line. Is he there?
He was on another call, so I'm having to call him back on his main line.
Oh, okay. Well, then you just let me know when he's available, okay? Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's get some Christmas wishes on here right now. And wish from Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West of Paul, and also the other location, north of Kimberly, right there on Red Cap Corner. Oh, Butte Irrigation, my goodness sakes, they're there to serve you. When you need parts or service, you better think Butte Irrigation. They will get you wet. Wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. How about Golden Valley Warehouse, 1000 South, 468 West of Burley? The Adams family, really, really good folks over there. And quality seed for all the farming and agriculture. Barley, wheat, triticale, oats, alfalfa, you name it. They're the best. Be sure and get a hold of them. Golden Valley Warehouse. They wish you and yours Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And last but not least, Vicky's Country Garden. Hello, Miss Vicky. Hey, there's quite a lady. And if you'll give her a call on her cell phone, she'll set up a time to meet you out at the store, and maybe you can check out those gift certificates for stocking stuffers for next year. Yeah, call her at 431-5667. Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. All of them wishing you and yours Merry Christmas, as I almost choked to death on my ice cube in the water. Anyway, Wheels, what do we got over there?
He's on the phone and ready for you.
I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, right now we get a chance to visit with a gentleman that's been on my program many, many times in the past, and he's the president of American Commitment. Phil Kirpin, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Zeb. How are you?
Well, not too bad. You got all your Christmas shopping done?
You know, I thought we were done a while ago, but, you know, my wife, I don't know, keeps ordering stuff. Boxes keep showing up. I don't know. It's never done, is it? I don't know.
Do you, as a trusting husband, give your wife the credit card and say, have at it, dear?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, she has... There's no fixed budget, so we sort of figure out where we are and try to dig out of it after December. The household budget goes out the window for the month of December, unfortunately.
Well, I can relate to that, but it looks like I wanted to talk to you about another subject this morning. AARP. Everybody thinks the sun rises and sets on AARP, helping and protecting senior citizens. But that may not be the case. Explain that, Phil.
Well, you know, a lot of us think of AARP as the American Association of Retired Persons, which is what it was until sometime in the 1990s when they came out and said, actually, it doesn't stand for anything anymore. It's just AARP, and it's not an acronym, and we're really focused on the business side of things. And for the last 20 years or so, it would be fair to say that their principal business, their principal activity is not representing the interests of seniors. It's selling insurance products. Seniors are more their customers that they sell things to than their memberships that they represent. And in particular, they've grown this enormous business selling United Health products, the largest insurance company in the country, especially Medigap policies. And they sell all of these insurance plans, and what they frequently do not very clearly disclose is they add a 4.95% fee that goes directly to them on top of what the actual insurance plans cost. And so they have an exclusive deal with one insurer. They're not presenting, you know, the options that are necessarily the best for seniors or what's out there. They're trying to sell you plans from one single insurance company they have a business relationship with, and they're basically charging a 5% VIG, 4.95% fee. And they make over $600 million a year doing that.
Whoa.
And what's happened is they've now got this, you know, this extremely lucrative business relationship with the largest insurance company in the country, which also owns the largest pharmaceutical benefit manager in the country, OptumRx. And it's really distorted the positions that they take when they do policy advocacy, because when they weigh in state capitals or in Congress and for or against different bills or what have you, they pretty much always take the policy position that's most beneficial to the business interests of United Health and OptumRx, including when those business interests run really contrary to what's best for seniors. And so, for instance, they supported Nancy Pelosi's very draconian drug price control bill, even though it would basically obliterate research and development into new cures, which is a very bad thing for seniors, because United Health thinks if they're paying less for drugs, their profits are going to go up. And so it's a very corrosive effect on the policy debates in this country that the largest insurance company basically has an advocacy arm that has this great brand that people think is this legitimate and real seniors organization, but really operates more as a mouthpiece for the largest insurance company in the country.
Phil, let me ask you this question then, without having a tenth of the knowledge that you have on this subject. How do they, AARP, get away with this if they're not a marketing arm for retired people, and they're nothing more than a huge conglomerate that in name only is serving supposedly retired people? It's nothing more than like GE, is it?
Well, the difference, you know, I have no problem with corporate interest lobbying. Okay, they've got a First Amendment right; they can advocate their positions, and politicians can decide whether to listen to them or not. The issue here is that I think that a lot of politicians, when they hear this is the AARP position on something, they think it means that's what seniors want.
Yeah.
Because they remember, 20, 30, 40 years ago, AARP tend to represent the views of seniors. And so I think the issue here is the deceptiveness of the whole enterprise.
Right.
If they want to be in the business of selling United Health Insurance policies and somehow they can convince people to pay 5% extra just to have that AARP brand on there, I think it's they're kind of ripping people off. I'm not in favor of that, but that's one thing. If people want to, willing buyer, willing seller, that's fine. But I think it's very important that politicians understand that when AARP speaks, it's really more of a, they really do represent, in most cases, the business interests of their large corporate partners, and they need to think about it that way. And so, to your point, it really is a lot like any other corporate lobbying that goes on. The difference being that the person on the receiving end of that message, the congressman or the state legislator, they don't necessarily know that that's what it is. They think it's something else, and that's the problem.
Where does this issue, and pardon my naivete on this for asking this question in not a very knowledgeable sense, but where is the stand against like Obamacare and against what the Democrats are pushing, and they are every day, for single-payer health insurance, etc.? Where does this strike up an accord with that issue?
Well, Obamacare was a really interesting example of exactly what I'm talking about, because seniors were calling into AARP 14-1 saying to oppose Obamacare, which is just overwhelming. You never see that on any issue. And they supported it anyway, and they supported it very strongly, and they supported it in particular because they got a legislative carve-out that protected their main insurance business, which is selling Medigap policies. And in fact, there was a report from a House investigative report a few years ago that found that AARP made about $1 billion from Obamacare.
Wow.
So that was really sort of the number one prime example of them putting the business interests of their insurance partnership ahead of what the seniors, who are notionally their members but really are more their customers, wanted. And I think that was a turning point for a lot of people, where they kind of said, hey, AARP isn't what I thought it was. This is something else. And a lot of conservatives in particular have been walking away from them in the 10 years since.
Absolutely. Phil, we've got a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Thank you.
Yeah, Zeb, AARP also has a very strong anti-gun lobby back in D.C. They're trying to eliminate guns, especially for seniors, because, as old people, we're not qualified to have a gun anymore. Thanks, I'll hang up.
I appreciate that call. Phil, respond to that caller, please.
Yeah, I think that's right. The other sort of aspect of this is not only do they make a lot of their decisions, based on their business relationship with United Health and Optum Rx, but when they do make ideological decisions that aren't based on their business interests, they tend to be their own left-wing ideology rather than the views of seniors, which tend to lean more to the right, of course. And so, they've been actively advocating against seniors on a lot of other issues, including, they supported, I believe they supported the Obama administration rule that said, if you need help filling out Social Security paperwork, that means you should forfeit your Second Amendment rights, which was such an extreme, over-the-top violation of the Constitution that even the ACLU opposed it. So, they're very left-wing ideologically, in addition to being kind of undisclosed corporate, front.
Well, knowing that they're receiving, like you said, roughly about $627 million from United Health as being a kind of an advertising arm through AARP, you would think, wouldn't you, that there would be other groups that would be trying to grow and prosper to help the seniors and hurt AARP with competition. Is that happening?
Yeah, there are a few of them. There are groups like 60 Plus and AMAC, and it seems like a lot of groups have sort of launched to try to be conservative alternatives or other options. They're all fine. I have no particular endorsement of one over any other, but I think that one of the challenges, one of the reasons that they haven't been more effectively exposed, over the past decade, is that most of the people who criticize them and attack them are trying to recruit you away from them and build their own business up and build their own organizations up, which, is fine as far as it goes, but it means that people tend to be a little bit skeptical of that. So I'm not, I'm trying to go about this a little differently. I'm not launching another group. I'm not launching another alternative to them. People can pick from the many fine groups that are already out there for conservative seniors. But what I am doing is just spotlighting this issue because we keep seeing it in policy debate after policy debate. They weigh in from the health insurance industry perspective or sometimes from a left-wing ideological perspective and sometimes both because they tend to overlap on a lot of these issues. And politicians listen to them as if they're a real legitimate seniors group, and it's a big problem, and it biases a lot of the outcomes and makes it harder for us to win these free market fights. And so we're just shining a spotlight and trying to help politicians understand what it is they're really hearing and who they're really hearing from when they get these messages. But I don't endorse any one particular group, although I have worked in particular with both 60 Plus and AMAC, and I think they're pretty good groups, and I know there are others out there as well.
It just seems so partisan, and it seems so left with the Democrats and the Democratic Party and Nancy Pelosi, etc., that you would think people would see through this facade and understand AARP is not doing the seniors any justice and trying to promote their own under-the-table health care.
Yeah, well, one of the problems is when a group is getting $600 million a year, they can run a lot of ads, and they can keep their brand, they can tell people how great their brand is. They've got an awful lot of money and capacity to do that, and so that makes it a little bit challenging to chip away at them. But I do think we've seen it really for the past 10 years since Obamacare, and we're continuing to see it. And I think what they did last year, which got a lot less notice than I think it should, is they helped kill they helped kill a Trump administration proposal that would have required pharmaceutical benefit managers to pass the rebates on to seniors at the point of sale at the register. And right now they're diverting billions of dollars of rebates on drugs to their own bottom line. Passing that on to seniors was so obviously in the interest of seniors, and yet AARP opposed it because their business partner runs the largest PBM, Health Optum Rx business. And so I think that we're just seeing example after example of them sort of greedily putting their business interests first, and we're going to keep using that to chip away at them. And I do think you're seeing it happen. You're seeing people abandon them because it's becoming so clear what they represent.
This man knows what he's talking about, and I always look forward to having him on my program. President of American Commitment, Phil Kerpen. Phil, to you and yours, a very Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Have a great one.
Thank you, sir. AARP, not exactly what you think it should be or is. And they've dropped the verbiage, American Association of Retired People, and just gone now with just AARP. Interesting. Caller, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take your call, but then I got to skedaddle and get right into the weather forecast. So go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Yeah, Zeb, I noticed that they were backing Obama and the Democrats really heavily, and so I just refused to have anything to do with them because it's a political poll to be than helping the seniors, like you said.
Well, have you ever, and I'm sure you have, read their monthly publication or looked through it and noticed the bias and the extreme prejudice in the stories in regards to being partisan politics in favor of the left and the Democrats? Have you ever taken the time to read that?
No, I haven't, but I've just followed them and known that, where they lie, what they support, and I'm not interested in them.
But, going back to what Phil Kerpen was talking about, they've dropped the name American Association of Retired People and just using now the letters AARP as nothing more than, quite frankly, a huge conglomerate that's selling insurance and making a pretty good living off of it. That's kind of disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah.
All right.
I agree with you.
Merry Christmas to you, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That offends me about AARP. And, if it weren't for people like Phil Kerpen, we'd never even know about it. Right now it's time for the weather, and I know about that. It's cold out there this morning. And the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They are really good people that wish you and yours a Merry Christmas, and they appreciate all the folks around this area that support them. And don't forget, too, it's tax planning time again. Oh, boo, hiss. Yes, it's true. And January's also the time, coming up in a matter of weeks, to file those 1099s and W-2s. Better get it done. Questions? Call Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Much cooler temperatures is what we're expecting for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting patchy freezing fog before noon, sunny skies by this afternoon with a high of 27. Wind chill values as low as -3. Winds out of the east at about 10 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, expecting a low of 11. Wind chill values as low as -2, and winds out of the east as high as 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 22. By tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 31. Still going to be breezy wind gusts as high as 22 miles an hour out of the east. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 18. 20% chance of snow showers for Thursday. Partly sunny skies by the afternoon and a high of 36. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Rain.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Gina. And the weather brought to you by our friends at Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I said, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. And to you and yours, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Wow, I'm going to give away ham right now. Yeah, I feel the urge. I feel the need for speed to hurry up and give you a ham. A 5-pound ham for Christmas compliments of Zeb at the Ranch and, of course, Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We absolutely thank them for joining with us. And Smith's Food. If you are the winner, stay on the line, and Old Wheels over at the studio will take down your address. We'll send you a ham certificate. You go into Smith's either in Burley or Twin for the redemption of getting that ham. And right now, this question is so easy. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. How many verses are there to the song Jingle Bells? First person to call, 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. Tell me, how many verses are there to the song Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells? Quickly. Wow. Holy smokes. I think that set a record for call-in time. Good morning. You're on the air. What's the answer?
3.
How did you know that?
My wife told me.
Well, how did she know that?
She knows music a little bit.
I would say, what's your name?
Wayne Vaughn.
Wayne Vaughn. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm impressed. And you stay on the line and give Wheels your address. We'll mail you that certificate, and you can sink your grinners into a delicious ham.
Sounds real good. I've got a neighbor that might need that.
Well, God bless you and your Christmas spirit. Wayne, I appreciate it. And now, as to complete the process of getting your ham, you are now going to sing all 3 verses. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't think you want me doing that.
Hey, God bless you, man. Thanks. Merry Christmas.
You are the same there, Zeb. Have a very Merry Christmas, you and Deanne.
All right, thank you very much. Jingle bells, 3 verses. I didn't know that until I looked it up. And Wayne Vaughn is the winner of the ham. Congratulations. Holy smokes. Jingle all the way. Christmas time. I love Christmas time. And we're going to give away another ham tomorrow, so you be listening, okay? Okay, where am I at here? I got to get some things taken care of. First of all, this is really, really important. We're going to be over at Denny's restaurant on Thursday. Yeah, buddy. And we're going to be having the Denny's Old-Fashioned Christmas Party. We're going to be there on the air broadcasting this program from 8 to 11. And we're going to get there, and Santa Claus is going to be there, and we're going to have the lovely Ashley Ludlow. That lady last year just really, we had so many compliments about her, walking around inside the restaurant singing Christmas carols and getting involved in singing the carols. It was fantastic, and we're going to have prizes to give away with Thomas and the great staff there at Denny's. Great food. I mean, holy cow, we're going to be living like kings. You better come on in and enjoy the fun. This Thursday, as I said, we're going to be broadcasting from 8 to 11 at the Denny's Old Fashioned Christmas. Please come down and support us. We're going to have just a real good time. Absolutely. Coming up next hour, I think he's already walked into the house. His entourage has put down the red carpet for him, and that's Dr. History will be here. Look forward to that on Tuesdays. And then at 10:30, we're going to be talking to a man that knows all about the economy, knows everything that's going on with the stock market and the 10,000 points increase on the stock market since Donald Trump took over. It's going to be really interesting, and that's going to be given to us by Dr. Michael Busler. Don't forget that. Wheels, I was going to ask you, are you, it's unfortunate, but you are not going to be able to come down to Denny's Old Fashioned Christmas on Thursday because you're going to be running the board. So I think we're going to send you something back from Denny's that you can munch on.
You know, and that sounds great to me. I know I've already had someone mention that to me, and so it sounds like a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys have fun over there.
Well, I think that someone that said that they'd bring you something back to eat was Gina, I think.
And the lovely person that brought me into this world. So.
Oh, your mother? Your mother? You've twisted her arm and she's going to go down and buy you breakfast and bring it out in a hot container?
Hey, now, I'm not sure about twisting her arm, but... you know, she was nice about it.
Yeah, but listen, man, when they volunteer something like this, whether it's your mother, your girlfriend, or whomever, always go for the steak and eggs. You can always come back a little bit, but go for the steak and eggs first.
That's true, and who doesn't love a good steak, right?
There you go. Got to run. CBS News is next. Don't go away. Merry Christmas, everybody. Oh, good morning. Blue sky. Why, we all should go to Murtaugh Lake and lay on the beach. No, it's too cold to go anywhere. Holy moly. What have I got for a temperature right now? Let me take a quick look before I go any further. Oh, it's going up. It's a heat wave 13. Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center is our main sponsor of Zeb at the Ranch. We thank them so much. All 7 locations with the best of tires for all your driving needs. Right there at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, our thanks go to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living. Don't forget at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Oh, my goodness, what a beautiful, beautiful 12-bedroom home. And they furnish 3 meals a day, housekeeping, snacks, local transportation. It is beautiful. Right there on 21st Street, just a mile east of Walmart. Check it out. Stop by after you make an appointment at 650-497. Call Kelly or Matt Wiggins and set up an appointment, 650-4979. Seniors, this is the place for you. Greystone Crossing Senior Living, to live a good life with your friends. Okay, let's see. I'll take care of those a little bit later, but right now we're going to say good morning. And he walked in the door, and I guess I'm kind of miffed in a way because I didn't see a Christmas present. I don't want to sound like I'm begging, but you didn't bring anything with you.
Well, you don't know that, Zeb. Maybe there's something under your tree you don't know about.
Yeah, probably a squirrel like in America. What was it? I'm trying to think.
Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation, yes, with Chevy Chase, yeah.
Well,
there's a squirrel in there.
Yeah, well, you might want to look. You may be disappointed, but...
What's cooking?
Well, we're going to talk about the Stagecoach robberies, kind of how that all began and how it kind of all ended. Okay?
What do you mean began and ended?
Well, just when it first started, the first one to the last one, and the years in between.
Okay.
So, the first Old West stagecoach attacked and robbed was traveling to Marysville, California in 1856. Now, this was 7 years after gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill.
I see.
Now, 6 decades later, in December of 1916, the last stagecoach robbery was accomplished at Jarbidge, Nevada.
Are you kidding?
Which is how far from us, Zeb? 20 miles?
No.
30?
It's further than that. Jarbidge from right here, probably 56.
Yeah, not that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the last one in December of 1916.
Yeah.
Well, during those 60 years, stagecoaches were attacked in 16 of the 17 western states, with only North Dakota, the only state that never had a robbery, a stagecoach robbery. Yeah.
No kidding.
So, a lot of the hundreds, there was lots and lots of stagecoach robberies that were failed attempts. In fact, they referred to them as a water haul. And I don't know where that came from, but that meant there was nothing robbed or taken or if anything, very little value.
Let me ask you, were most of the attempts, and I'm curious about this, were most of the attempts by 1 or 2 or 3 people?
That varied tremendously. You had some guys that tried it on their own, some 2, 3, 4, 5. So the guys that did it by themselves, sometimes they were successful and sometimes they weren't.
It would almost be like the guy that stands in front of a train and says, stop.
Yeah, but they did. But only when there was a lot of loot, a lot of stuff that was substantial, or somebody might have been wounded or killed, was there actually a sufficient reward offered for the capture of the robbers. So if it was just a few bucks or something, they didn't even mess with trying to go after the guys. But without a reward, there was not much motivation to pursue these robbers, because it was government policy to withhold reimbursement for expenses unless the pursuit resulted in an arrest and a conviction. So if you're going after these guys, you're going to be pretty sure that it's a pretty hefty haul.
Did most of these stagecoach robbers in those days, did they go after the big haul, if you will, and they knew that there was gold or big money on there?
Sometimes. I think in most of the cases, they didn't know what they were going to get. Unless they had some inside information, which some of them did.
Yeah.
But, there was a small number of successful stagecoach robberies, and only a few really rose to what we'd call greatness because of how much they got away with.
Yeah.
But, the circumstances that would foster the robbers began to develop in 1849 as soon as gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill. And the rush was on, of course. And men from around the world flooded down to the Pacific coast in search of riches. And, mining, it turned out, was kind of a lonely business. Homesick miners could hardly wait for some word from home to distract them from their daily routine. It was a tough job out there.
Yeah.
Winter, summer, hot, cold. Now, there's a guy by the name of Alexander Todd. He joined in the search for gold about November 1st, 1849, but soon learned that few men struck it rich for all the work they put in and all the time. So by December, Todd saw what the camps needed. He appeared in Jacksonville, not far from the gold diggings, and offered to bring in the mail, which was then piled high at the post office in San Francisco, awaiting to be delivered. Well, Todd left with a packet of signed letters of authorization and soon returned with sacks of mail. The miners were so happy with this young guy, and they felt they could trust him, so they asked him to carry their gold dust back to San Francisco and deposit it in one of the new banks that was established for that purpose. He agreed to do the job and took his first load of gold dust, estimated at about $200,000.
Way back when?
This is 1849.
Wow.
So he's carrying 200,000, which would have been about 15,000 ounces of gold that he took. And he went down the San Joaquin River, across San Francisco Bay in a rowboat. And in San Francisco, Todd used his share to outfit a pack train. He returned to the camps with miners' receipts and mail. So this was a great thing that he did, because he was taking mail, which they wanted, and he was taking their gold dust back to the banks.
They must have really trusted him.
Yeah. Now, a pack train was the only alternative to the dangerous water route, as there were no roads, and in some places the trails were almost too rough, even for mules or men. And while this seemed the perfect scenario for somebody to rob, there were no robberies in those early days. None, which you'd think there would be. But here's what Todd explained.
Did they go with an armed guard or anything?
No, just him, maybe one or two guys.
No kidding.
But here's what he said, quote, "An expressman on the road was almost exempt from interference because everybody was interested, and if any expressman had been attacked and his assailant discovered, punishment would have been very speedy. An expressman, though carrying large sums of money, bore almost a charmed life in those days."
No kidding.
So before robbers appeared, it was a safe deal for him. But before 1849, the express companies were active throughout the East and the Midwest, but there was only a few operating in the Pacific Coast. Now, the Adams Express Company was established as the major provider of express shipping in California, but by 1854, Adams had grown to dominate the entire Pacific Coast, while the men behind Wells Fargo carefully kind of watched. They were watching how well he was doing. And finally, in 1852, just a few years later, Wells Fargo opened its first Pacific Coast business and posted its first public notice that they were in business. So Wells Fargo got into the business. Now, once established, the company grew quickly by adopting a policy of acquiring its smaller competitors. It just went out and found these guys who were doing like a short haul, and they would buy them out or whatever. And so that left Wells Fargo and Company with only one important competitor in the West, and that was this Adams Express Company. And it actually closed just a few years later in 1855. So now Wells Fargo had they had the monopoly on the business. So in June of 1849, the first stage line in California was established, and the coaches, and we've kind of talked about this before, Zeb, they were the spring or dead axle wagons pulled by teams of 2 or 4 mules or horses, and there were no true coaches in California until the first coach arrived by ship in 1850, and the next shipment of Concord stagecoaches, these were the nicer ones, they arrived in 1851. And the first Butterfield Overland coach would not arrive from St. Louis until 1858, 7 years later. And in those early days, there were few roads that could accommodate any form of stagecoach. I mean, just imagine. But this changed slowly over the first 5 years, and finally the roads were established through these areas where it was just, in some places, just a couple of tracks for the, with rocks.
Right there would be an interesting program sometime to talk about the development of the road system.
Yeah, it would, because many times the roads they took are now major highways.
Yeah.
Some of the same places. But the stagecoaches began to replace the pack trains and the freight wagons. Now, when gold and silver were discovered in Nevada, Wells Fargo, now the pretty much dominant express company in the West, added stage lines to its operations. In 1869, Wells Fargo and Company sold its stage lines and thereafter conducted the handling of express in its, and they quote this, green treasure boxes. Now, I'd never heard that term, green treasure boxes.
Were those the strong boxes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on whatever stage lines operated, that's what they had. Now, after the little green treasure box became the standard for carrying express, in other words, money, gold, other companies included making up boxes as part of the process of stocking the road. The treasure boxes used by Wells Fargo and Company were manufactured in San Francisco by a guy by the name of Ayer. Now, Ayer used ponderosa pine for the body, which he reinforced with oak rims and iron strapping. I've got a picture of it here. I'll show you. A Wells Fargo and Company box measured, now this is smaller than I thought. It measured 20 inches long by 12 inches high by 10 inches deep, and it weighed nearly 25 pounds.
So basically it's about like this.
Yeah,
that seems a lot smaller than what I thought.
I thought they would be much bigger.
And that's
than
what
that.
they use for
Yeah.
the money?
Uh-huh.
Or the gold dust?
Yeah. And at first, these boxes were loaded in the office and deposited into the driver's boot or inside the passenger compartment. But the common command of, quote, throw down that box led to it being bolted into the boot or the body in later years. So now when the guy holds them up and says, throw down that box, he says, I can't. It's bolted to the stagecoach. So and let me just show you a picture, Zeb. See that picture?
And that's only 20 inches long.
That's not very
10
big.
10 inches deep.
Yeah.
Holy
It's
cow.
not very big.
No.
But, the earliest stage line across the Southwest Desert was a guy named James Birch's line from San Antonio, Texas to San Diego, California in 1857. Well, in 1858, John Butterfield's Overland Mail Company took over most of that route, and the mail contracted and extended the line to San Francisco. Now, besides the transcontinental stagecoach line, there were a whole bunch of independent stage lines in operation in every region, but they didn't do very well. They were okay, but they were just kind of short term. They didn't last that long. Now, the term stagecoach is one that is reminded of a beautifully decorated Concorde coach rocking along behind 6 powerful, perfectly matched horses, right? That's the picture. Passengers are envisioned reclining in the roomy interior with the roof, and the rear boot is laden with their luggage, goods, and the express booked for the next destination. This is kind of a very pleasant-looking picture, right,
It
Zeb?
wasn't like that.
So Concorde coaches, which were built by the Abbott and Downing Company in Concord, Massachusetts, measured 8.5 feet long. Okay, that's not very long.
That's from here to the wall.
And high, 8.5 feet high, and 5 feet wide.
Holy
and
cow.
weighed 2,500 pounds. Now, the body was egg-shaped and rested on these thick leather braces running front to back, which let the body rock and earned its nickname, one of which included the name Pitching Betsy.
I'd like to
that
know
was the nickname.
What were the other ones that you don't want to
That's
say?
the only one I've got here. But the Concorde coach in the 1840s cost $1,200 to $1,500.
5 feet wide. Now, wait a minute.
that's
I
not
got to
very
stop
big.
you there. How many people were...
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Oh.
You'll see. Now, a Concorde coach could carry 21 people.
What?
9 inside.
In 5 foot of room?
And 8 feet across. And 12 people on top. Okay, so only 9 inside, 12 on top, including the driver and the messenger, or the guy with the gun. So it was pretty packed. Now, however, it's not the shape or size of a vehicle that determined if it was a, quote, stagecoach, but how it was used. A stagecoach was only any four-wheeled vehicle pulled by horses or mules that was used as a public conveyance, but also carried the U.S. mail. A few stage lines could survive without a mail contract, but a lucrative contract to carry express, such as a contract with Wells and Fargo, made the stage line profitable, and the fares from passengers made it a success. While a coach might not be carrying mail, express, and passengers on every run, it must have been able to do so in order to be called a stagecoach.
Wait a minute. You said that, including the driver and the shotgun guard...
21 people.
Yeah, but 23 with those two.
Yeah.
23?
No, including.
Oh, including.
The driver,
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Well, let's say 21. 21 people, and they're not all going to be, 200-pounders, but all the weight and the weight of the baggage, if they had room for any baggage...
would be on the back, probably.
Would be on the back.
Or on top.
And how many horses did they have?
Well, they went anywhere from 2, 4 to 6.
Oh, at least 6, yeah.
So I'm thinking with the bigger ones, they had to have 6.
Yeah, and the movies are so goofy and wrong when they show these stagecoaches with the horses galloping.
Yeah, traveling.
They
nice.
didn't do that. That would have killed the horses.
Oh, yeah. If they went at a nice brisk trot, that was probably it.
And can you imagine having 12 people on top of a stage going at 30 miles an hour on a curve? You'd be dusting them off of there.
Oh, yeah. You'd be leaving them in a trail behind you.
Oh, my goodness.
So in 1856, the year of the very first stagecoach robbery, there were hundreds of coaches in operation on the West Coast. And as the stagecoach business matured, a lot of the Concorde-like wagons were built at Western Carriage Works. However, on many routes, all that was needed for a particular run was what they called a celerity, and I'd never heard that term, a celerity, or what they called a mud wagon, okay, a dead axle or spring wagon like a buckboard, or a surplus army ambulance. So these conveyances, sometimes the Concordes, lumbered along behind teams of horses or mules, often mismatched. You might have horses and mules pulling the same outfit.
That sounds like a wreck.
It does. So it's not all this everything matched up and pretty, but the teams consisted, as I said, 2, 4, maybe 6 animals, depending on the vehicle, the weather, the terrain, and often the animals were so poor that in the Prescott, Arizona's Daily Miner newspaper, it referred to these animals as, quote, skeletons covered with horsehide, which the company fondly hoped would make this trip before dying.
Holy smokes.
So these
you ever heard of hay?
These weren't the well-fed, plump-looking, nice, muscled horses.
Yeah.
Now, the passengers were allowed only 25 pounds of luggage, 2 blankets, 1 canteen, a duster coat, a hat, and clothing. They were given a cramped space in which to sit, often sharing the interior with mail sacks or express packages, and the express box or safe bolted to the floor of the interior. The rocking and rolling of the coach could cause passengers to become a little bit, queasy in the stomach, and they would be subjected to all sorts of insects, choke and dust, and you can imagine not much sleep. If you could sleep in that, you could sleep through anything.
I can't imagine that there was that many people on board.
Well,
really,
there was. I mean, that was the way they traveled.
Wow.
They had to. So, but there were worse times for some passengers, however, as stagecoaches might be delayed at some remote station for days due to swollen rivers, or a coach might be mired in the mud, requiring the passengers to get out and pull the horses out. Temperatures could be so hot. In fact, there's a guy named James Grant noted while crossing the Arizona desert in 1870, he said, quote, it was so cold that it almost froze the driver and passengers. Now, a coach might also careen out of control and roll over or drop off a steep edge. Some mishap might lead the team to, all kinds of accidents happened.
Yeah.
But you don't see that again in the movies.
No.
Now, the wheelers, who fell, the guy that was behind the horse, and while the driver was trying to get them, the leaders, the horses, sometimes the horses would break away and run off.
Can you blame them?
Leaving. So sometimes the driver was so scared that he concluded to throw up his job then and just strike out for greener pastures and say, you know what, you guys are on your own.
Holy
good luck.
Moly.
But anyway, I know we're about out of time here, so let me just finish up here. But stage, the term stage in stagecoach referred to the division of a route into segments or stages of travel. Okay, so 15 to 20 miles between stations under ideal circumstances, though over time the term stage was commonly applied to the coach, to the stage coach.
Gotcha.
But the stage was actually the station, okay? So these swing stations were quite basic with corrals, a shed to store feed, and living quarters for the guy that was taking care of them. Now, at a swing station, the teams were changed in less than 15 minutes, depending on whether the animals were in a corral or they might be out to pasture, because the guy there, he didn't know exactly when the stage was coming in.
Sure.
So he might have to go round them up. And the passengers barely had time to have a little rest. The swing stations alternated with way stations, which were larger facilities. Okay, they were a little bit bigger. And at these way stations, they could maybe eat a meal. They might only have only a half an hour of rest. And sometimes when the stagecoach stopped for the night, at the way station, they would allow the passengers to sleep in maybe a big room on the floor. This also served as the dining room and sometimes a store. So the sleeping accommodations weren't what we call...
Not as glamorous as the movies portray.
No, you don't pull in and have a nice room with a bed. But, after days travel on a through coach, the driver and the coach might also be exchanged before continuing on. And in the desert, the distance between the stations could be quite a bit longer, as these stations were situated where water was available.
Really?
And that wasn't always, convenient, 25 miles. If the distance was too great between stations, then they'd have what they call a dry station would be established, and water would be hauled to a tank built by the company. And in the earliest times, before dry stations could be supplied, they would have remudas of horses or mules, and they were driven along with the coach for periodic changes of the team. So here you have a stagecoach, Zeb, with some spare horses or mules coming along behind them.
Really?
So they could change out the animals when the lead
I didn't know that.
teams got, and I didn't either. So once water was found, the stations were built at those sites. Now, one of the greatest hazards, at least the most thrilling event during traveling on a stagecoach, was being stopped and robbed by a road agent. And treasure was most often the form of metal, gold, silver, things like that. And, of course, the discovery of gold was what prompted all that. And I know we're about out of time.
We are.
So
We are.
Let me just get here. There were lots and lots of stagecoaches that were jumped before the last robbery occurred in December 1916 over here, not very far from us, in Jarbidge, Nevada.
Let's continue that a little bit.
Okay.
After the first of the year.
Yes. Okay.
I want to thank you. I didn't know a lot of that. Never heard of a lot of. I didn't know that I only got 30 seconds here, but I didn't know that they actually trailed a stagecoach with a replacement remuda, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
I had not heard of that either.
Dr. History, God bless you and your family. Merry Christmas.
You too, Zeb. You have
Thank you
Merry
so
Christmas.
much.
Thank
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we turn it over to our station, I want to remind you about Merry Christmas wishes from Magic Valley Irrigation at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Jeff and the crew, and they've been offering irrigation system service and repair since 1978. Really good, folks. Get a hold of them. They wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Along with Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. Don't forget the number, 436-1722. They've got all your flooring needs, all your carpet needs. Please contact them today. Magic Valley Carpet in Rupert, wishing you and yours Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Along also with our buddy Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at, of course, located at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Good morning, Doug. Always a good guy. Remember the reason for the season and remember the senior centers. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn. Merry, Merry Christmas. We'll be back right after this with more of our guests on Zeb at the Ranch.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you much. As I've mentioned many times on my program, I've been introduced to 7K Metals, and boy, I feel very fortunate of that meeting because now I'm helping myself build financial security through the purchases of silver. Absolutely. You can create your own security bank through silver purchases, and the silver comes right there to your home. It's a great savings opportunity for you and a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. Find out more. I urge you to get a hold of Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call. They will help you with all the information you need about 7K Metals and the purchasing of silver to help yourself build your financial security. Also, real quick, I want to urge everybody to remember for your Christmas shopping some wonderful people at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Oh, my, these are nice, nice people. Curtis and Lorena and the staff, believe me, they're open Monday through Saturdays 9 to 6, and they've got all the home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers. Whew, anything and everything for that. Complete sound systems, all your television sets from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, and LG TVs. What a selection. Please get a hold of them today. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997. And they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Right now, I get a chance to visit with an old friend on this program. He's been here many, many times. He's a public policy analyst, economics expert, and a professor of finance at Stockton University in New Jersey. One of my favorites, Dr. Michael Busler. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Ted. How are you doing? It's always my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. And Dr. Bussler, I wanted to ask you this morning, here we hear reports of the stock market going up 10,000 points in the last 3 years since Donald Trump has been president, and everything looks strong. Our economy and the 401ks, everything. How in the world can these Democrats sit there in their little ivory towers and condemn this man and this economy, and almost like they're praying for failure so they can say, aha, we told you so? What are your thoughts?
Well, Zeb, I think exactly the same way as you do. The Democrats just want to get back into power, and they don't care how they do it. They're putting the needs of the party over the needs of the country. I mean, clearly President Trump is doing a marvelous job with the economy, with national security, with securing the border. He's really done everything that he can possibly do to make this country better. And the Democrats, they just want to get into power, want to get him out of power. They really don't care how that happens. Just as long as they can get him out of power, they're going to be happy. So they're trying now with this impeachment, what I call nonsense, and I don't think that's going to be very effective either. In fact, that's likely to come back and hurt the Democrats in the long run. What they should do, if they really want to be elected into power and get back into power, is not so much try to criticize what President Trump has been doing, because that's very difficult to do, but rather put forth some better ideas. So if you think President Trump isn't doing well in a certain area, let's hear what your ideas are, and if your ideas are better, the American people will vote for them. Instead of taking a positive view, the Democrats, I've got a better idea, vote for me. I guess they don't have a better idea, so all they say is don't vote for Trump, and if you're not going to vote for Trump, then we're the alternative.
You know, Dr. Bussler, I'm an old man, and I have never in my lifetime seen anything like this. Here we have a president and an administration where America, this is my own opinion, by the way, and I'll stand up for it, America is not taking a back seat to anybody or anything. America is being much more respected worldwide, especially in NATO and especially with the European bloc countries. America's economy is growing and bigger every day. Today, the stock market is up again. How? I mean, how can you play partisan politics and demean this man when, honestly, the last 3 years has been fantastic?
Yeah, I don't know how President Trump could have done anything better. What he's accomplished, I believe, is remarkable, considering every single Democrat votes against him no matter what he wants to do. The press coverage, and I saw 3 studies that bear this out, the press coverage is more than 90% negative about President Trump, and even members of his own party are against him. In spite of all that, he still has been able to really turn this economy around and turn the country around. Remember, before he got into office, we were stuck in what I refer to as the Obama stagnation. We had gone through Obama's entire presidency without having 1 year where GDP growth was at least 3%. He's the only president in history to serve a term in office without having at least 1 year of 3% economic growth. And mostly that was because he overregulated the economy and he raised taxes. Raised taxes on the wealthy in 2011 when the Bush tax cuts expired, and then putting in the Affordable Care Act. There were a total of 21 new taxes in the Affordable Care Act. Well, with strong regulations and high taxes, the economy is going to grow. So what did President Trump do? He got into office. Immediately, he was able to, through executive order, get rid of a lot of burdensome and counterproductive regulations. That picked the economy up in 2017. Then he passed the tax cut at the end of 2017. That picked the economy up in 2018. We had just about 3% growth in 2018. In fact, have the Federal Reserve not raised interest rates 8 times between the end of 16 and the end of 18, economic growth would be even stronger. So fortunately, the Federal Reserve realizes they made a mistake. They've dropped interest rates 3 times now. They've stopped shrinking the money supply. And with that, I think, although the consensus view is different, I believe that the economic growth will pick up even more next year. And this long expansion that really President Trump has really kicked into high gear will continue. The Democrats can't run on anything positive, so they've got to run on something negative. Trump is abusing power. He's obstructing Congress. He tweets bad things. He hates people. So all they can do is say Trump is a bad person, don't vote for him, rather than taking a positive approach. Vote for us, we're better.
You know, we have seen so many charlatan-based trade agreements. NAFTA I was never in favor of. The Pacific Treaty I was not in favor of. What do you think? You know far more than I do about the new USMCA. Are you in favor of it, or are there some pitfalls and loopholes that we should be wary of?
It's not perfect, but it is far better than what we had before. The big picture here, President Trump gets into office, he takes a look at every trade agreement the U.S. has with every one of our trading partners. For whatever reason, every single one of them is slanted in favor of our trading partners and to the detriment of the U.S. For instance, in the automobile industry, they make a car in Europe, sell it in the U.S., we charge a 2.5% tariff. We make a car in the U.S., sell it in Europe, they charge a 10% tariff. China, they make a car, sell it here, we charge a 2.5% tariff. They charge us a 25% tariff. For whatever reasons on Corvettes, it's a 50% tariff. Every one of our trade agreements is like that. As a result, we're not buying, we're buying a lot of their goods, so money flows out of the country. They're not buying much of our goods because the tariff raises the prices, so not much of their money flows into the country. We have this huge negative balance of trade. President Trump said, I want to fix that right away. Every single one of the trading partners was in no hurry to do that because they have such favorable agreements. So what is a business person, not a politician? Remember, President Trump is not a politician, although he's learning to be one. He's a business person. A business person, when you have a reluctant trading partner, you create a sense of urgency. How did he do that? He put tariffs on everything, creating problems for our trading partners. It brought everybody to the table. Already, we have a new agreement with Mexico and Canada just about to be approved. Although it was signed 15 months ago, the Democrats are just getting around to approving it. But we have an agreement with Mexico and Canada. We have a new agreement with South Korea, a new agreement with Japan. India is talking to us, and now we're dealing with China, and we got the first part of that done. Your original question was the USMCA. It got rid of some of the issues that Mexico was paying their workers ridiculously low wages, and they wouldn't let them bargain collectively. That's changed. They've got to pay their workers a little better wage, and they must allow them, if they want to bargain collectively. This is not a perfect agreement. It will open up some of the Mexican markets to U.S., mostly farmers, and it will open up Canadian markets to farmers, too. I would have liked to see a little more free market economics in there rather than some of the ways some things are controlled, but this is a far better agreement than we had in NAFTA, and it's a good step in the right direction.
Dr. Bussler, let me ask you this, and if I'm wrong, please tell me, but it seems to me that over the years that China has been in the pockets of the good old boys network all around the world, and including and exclusively a lot of the politicians here in the United States. This is going to be a little tough, is it not, for Trump to really come down hard on China because of all the spiderweb money that's going on with other citizens in the United States, including other politicians?
I agree with you, Zeb. It will be very difficult for President Trump to come up with a deal with China because there are so many special interests that are so entwined with China. Look, was it last month or the month before, we had an issue with the NBA, what they were allowed to say and not say, and the NBA buckled to China because China gives them so much business. So you're right. It's going to be very difficult. President Trump is not afraid of difficult. So no matter what the problem is, he'll tackle it. He'll come up with the best solution possible that's in the best interest of the U.S., that moves the country forward. The Chinese one is so difficult for a number of reasons. One, they get special treatment in the world with the World Trade Organization. They kind of get away with doing a lot of things like manipulating their currency. They force American companies to give trade secrets away if they're going to do business there. So it's very difficult to deal with all these problems, but Trump will deal with them. No matter how long it takes, there's a little bit of pain, in fact, a fair amount of pain, put on our agricultural sector because the Chinese have retaliated with tariffs of their own, but President Trump has eased that pain by giving aid to the farmers in the long run. And remember, Trump plays the long game. He doesn't care about any individual battles. He just wants to win the war at the end. So at the end here, foreign markets will be opened up to U.S. manufacturers, especially farmers, and this will be a boon to them into the long run, even though there's a little bit of problems here in the short term.
One other segment that I wanted to ask you about, Dr. Bussler, and maybe I'm beating the drum that doesn't have to have any noise, but it's the energy sector in our economy. I'm still worried about the environmental movement. I'm still worried about the Tom Steyers. I'm still worried about the Bloombergs. I'm still worried about all the big money to force and coerce us to go green, because I think that's the worst mistake this country could make.
I agree with you, and there certainly is a lot of pressure. And one thing President Trump did was he invigorated the energy industry, so now we're a net exporter of energy rather than an importer. So if there's problems in the Middle East, if Iran bombs Saudi Arabia again or does something else, has very little shock on world markets and virtually no negative impacts on the U.S. So the energy sector has to remain strong, and I think even though the Democrats are trying to destroy much of it, I don't think they'll be successful. Look, there's no downside to going to more clean energy. And so just let the marketplace do it. Let clean energy develop. Over time, we'll be able to switch out of the fossil fuels, probably not completely, but eventually things will change. But you can't push these, because right now we need the energy sector to make America strong, both from an economic standpoint, political standpoint, and even a national defense standpoint. Not the time to destroy the energy industry. Just move toward what you think you want. It's green energy. Let the marketplace work, and over time, the marketplace will find a balance without causing a lot of disruptions, and that's really what we need.
You know, I've got to ask you as a final thought here this morning, being a professor and looking out at those smiling young faces in your classroom and telling them about all the greatness that's happened in this country with our economy over the last 3 years, how many are sitting there and saying to you, are you kidding? We can't stand Trump. We've got to get rid of Trump. We've got to impeach him. What do you do in that case?
Way too many of the students take that view, and here's what I say to that. I said, listen, you're here to college at the university to learn certain things, but you're basically want to learn critical thinking skills. So as you go through life, you're able to make good decisions. In order to do that, make good decisions and hone those skills, you need adequate information. Unfortunately, my colleagues have been pumping these students with very negative information about Trump and very positive information about some of these more social-oriented politicians. So what I do is I say, listen, I'm not going to give you my view. I'm going to try to keep my view out of it. But for each issue, here's what your other professors have been telling you. here's the other point of view. I want you to decide what way makes the most sense. Real quick, I start off some classes. What do you think about the minimum wage? Well, 90% of the class wants it raised to $15 an hour. And they give me all the reasons why that makes sense. I said, look, here's the other side of the argument. You raise the wage above an equilibrium point, you end up having more people seeking work. Some high school graduates who would go to college may not go to college if wages are higher, so you have more people seeking jobs, and you have fewer jobs available. Because if a business person has a problem, costs them $300 a week, well, if I can hire somebody for $7, $8 an hour, $300 a week, he would hire him. But he's not going to pay somebody $600 a week to solve a $300 problem. As you put a $15 minimum wage in, you're going to pay somebody $600 a week for 40 hours. So you end up causing massive unemployment. They say to me, wait a minute, unemployment's at historical lows. What are you talking about? I said, that's true. Overall unemployment rate is at historical lows, but the unemployment rate for teenagers, and I just looked at this 2 weeks ago, the unemployment rate for teenagers is 13%. The unemployment rate for some minority, especially teenagers in inner cities, is up to 40%. Now, there's reasons for that, but the minimum wage makes that worse. Isn't it better to have everybody working at a little lower wage than to have so many people, 10, 15% of the workforce unemployed because there's no job? Students in the back start scratching their head a little bit and thinking about it. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give them both sides of an argument so they can think a little more clearly about it and make a better judgment when they go to the polls to vote for leaders.
You are the best. Thank you very much, public policy analyst, economics expert, and a professor of finance, Dr. Michael Busler. To you and yours, a very Merry Christmas, God's blessings, and I'll look forward to having you back next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. Happy holidays. It's always my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. He lays it out in such absolutely understandable terms when he's talking about the economy and jobs and everything else. I just love the guy being on the program, Dr. Michael Busler, back in New Jersey. The best. Thank you very much. Holy cow, are you hungry? Are you really hungry? You've been Christmas shopping? Well, let old Zeb just kind of give you a little advice here. I urge you to go over to Edith's Cafe for lunch today. I mean, right now, today. Don't hesitate. They're open Tuesdays through Thursdays, 11 to 8, Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9, and they're located at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Oh, you sit down and open up that menu, and holy smokes, everything delicious jumps right out at you. And then if you go in the evening for the dinner specials, don't forget, like today on Tuesday, they got barbecued pulled pork sandwich. Oh, that is so good. And they got specials every day. You better stop in and enjoy. Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. They're waiting right this minute to serve you. Stop over there. Time for the weather. And the weather, of course, brought to you by our friends at Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, my. You can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and check out all the delicious meats. Give them a call, 324-7657. I mean, everything is delicious. They've got all the different kinds of bacons, and they've got all the marinated pork ribs. They are phenomenal. And they've got all the breakfast sausages and the bratwurst. Everything at Scarrows Meats in Jerome. We'll tell you more right after Gina has the weather.
Much cooler temperatures is what we're expecting for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting patchy freezing fog before noon, sunny skies by this afternoon with a high of 27. Wind chill values as low as -3. Winds out of the east at about 10 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, expecting a low of 11. Wind chill values as low as -2, and winds out of the east as high as 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 22. By tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 31. Still going to be breezy wind gusts as high as 22 miles an hour out of the east. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 18. 20% chance of snow showers for Thursday. Partly sunny skies by the afternoon and a high of 36. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and the crew are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. Oh, by the way, too, I want to remind everybody about Santa's favorite place to shop, and that's, of course, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Hello, Jeff. Hello, everybody over there. 40% off all the window coverings and shutters, and don't forget to visit the sleep center over there with all the bedroom sets and the mattresses, and then, of course, all the furniture. Like they've got sofas starting at just $3.99, dining room sets 40% off. Where? I told you. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. The whole crew really can help you at Lee's Furniture, where they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. What do we got cooking on tomorrow's program? We've got the Idaho Fish and Game Report. We've got Karen Cataline. Dave Bigo from Indiana is going to be on the program. Lots of good people on the program for tomorrow. And again, our thanks go out to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires that will absolutely get you on the roadways and help defeat any weather problems. The snow, the ice, the muck, the yuck. They've got all the tread design, all the sizes. They've got all your winter tires. They've got all your tire chains. My goodness, stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Like I said, batteries really important, because tomorrow it's going to be below zero when you wake up. You better make sure you've got a good battery. They've got the best at any and all of the 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. That's going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today. The way things were are the way things ought to be. And, of course, the 4 words that mean the most to us: in God we trust. You have a wonderful day, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. Merry Christmas, everybody.